Good morning. Yeah, oh no, it's afternoon. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm just taking a little break here and I wanted to share something with regard to DAC, disabled adult child. And I'm doing it for JT. His name is actually longer than that, his handle, but he'll know I'm talking about him because he's the one that actually asked for this. So um DAC benefits, and his specific question was, and I'm just going to look at it here. If I can find it. Oh, when you can switch over to regular Social Security from DAC. So I think this is what JT means. If you're a DAC recipient, or maybe it's your child, you're a DAC recipient because you were disabled before the age of 22 and you never lost the DAC benefits that you are collecting as a dependent of having been a dependent upon a parent who subsequently collected Social Security or passed away, and that made you eligible to collect a DAC benefit under their record. You proved you were disabled under 22, and even if you were working somewhat and earning, you never over earned beyond the limits allowed to still be considered dependent and necessitating those benefits. So when would you switch to Social Security? Well, I'm thinking of two things. If the DAC beneficiary is working, and obviously they're staying under SGA, they may or may not be staying under trial work period, but as long as they're under SGA and they're not otherwise established to not be disabled medically, they will presumably continue. Remember, of course, there's that one little loophole about don't get married unless it's to another DAC beneficiary. Generally speaking. But aside from that, so they're still on DAC benefits. They're working. Now, keep in mind, if they're working part-time, again, under the limits, they are presumably going to be earning Social Security credits of their own. So remember, when they're under 22, that whole thing for DAC, the whole reason for it, I believe, in the way I look at it, is that it's a recognition that these young people who are barely out of childhood, who were disabled before they became age 22, never had a chance or an opportunity to earn a vigorous living and earn their own Social Security. So it's a wonderful dependent benefit. I think the world of it. I think every parent is grateful that they have it if one of their children becomes disabled before the age of 22. So if the DAC person is working, getting back on it, they're building up those credits. And depending on their age, they're eventually going to be insured for retirement. Now, they can't take retirement until they're of retirement age. But at some point also, they're also going to be insured for Social Security disability, which is more of a term insurance, and they can fall out of insured status, unlike the retirement. But so they can potentially, once their credits make them insured under their own record for Social Security disability, and they've already proven that they're Social Security disabled, they would be able to apply for Social Security disability under their own work record. When would they want to do that? Obviously, they're not going to want to collect on their own record if their DAC benefits are greater. So that wouldn't be an issue until that point in time. So it's always worth checking, and they can check it by looking at their Social Security earnings statement every year. That should, I think, include that information. And for those that don't know, go to ssa.gov/my account, and you can download your own Social Security earnings statement that you'll have if you have probably ever worked. I don't even know if it has to be recent work. I don't think so. So that's one thing where they might switch to their own work record if it becomes greater than what their parent had to offer them, because they're only taking a percentage of the parent's primary insurance amount. And it could be that their own exceeds that, depending on how large that is. Or if their DAC benefit is not as high as it could be under the percentage allowed because of the family max. I believe family max applies to that. I will double check that, but I wouldn't see why not. They might not even be getting their full percentage, and therefore their own work record would potentially be able to fill in that gap too. So definitely something to look at. Aside from that, if they if the DAC benefit remains greater at that point, but then at retirement, their own is more favorable, then they would collect the retirement benefit on their own record. So definitely something to check out and keep track of, because of course you want to get the greatest amount you can. And again, that's one of the beautiful things about disabled people, including DAC beneficiaries, being able to, under the rules, as long as they follow the rules, and they're pretty strict, being able to work and earn those credits for themselves if they're able. I mean, there are plenty of people that can't do that, but there are plenty who can. They're not bedridden entirely or otherwise unable to work at any job on a part-time basis. So of course, if you're going to work part-time, always be very careful to consider what you're going to try to do. Always keep in mind your trial work period and then your SGA limits. There are videos on trial work period, what that is, and SGA. So feel free to look under some of the playlists for that stuff. And the choosing of what kind of occupation you're going to try to do, I would make sure it's in tune with your disabilities, because you can remain disabled, but then you can be trying so hard to do a job that gets represented in a way that might make it look like your disabilities are not as severe as they were. So I would have that carefully considered, whether you get a consultation or not, or do it yourself. You want to just be thoughtful when you go to work. Part-time, under SGA, and again, I always say don't flirt too heavily with SGA, but you do want to make enough to earn those credits. So and the more you do pay in, which is not a matter of the credits per se now, but once you're beyond that point and you're earning more than that, but still safely under SGA, that is going to increase it doesn't give you more credits because you don't need them. It will increase your benefit amount. And then you'll be able to potentially draw on your own record and not take the percentage of a parent's record. Okay, so I hope that helps explain that you can switch, and it's an awesome thing. So anyway, tally ho. And if you have any questions on that, please let me know. And thank you, JT, for bringing up the subject. Bye now.